stop comparing Sarah Palin and Michelle Bachmann just because they're both Republican women. And crazy. And know-nothings. And Jesus freaks. Who claim to receive messages from God. Who both get their historical facts wrong all the time and both give off a sound that only animals can hear and make microwaves explode. Seriously, stop comparing them.
That was, of course, from your show, Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO. I mean, come on then, if you had a choice, a gun to your head, which one is it? Palin or Bachmann?
I would need a gun to my head. I hope Sarah Palin gets in so that they split the MILF vote. But I guess Bachmann, I don't know, who could say, because at least she's somebody who can read. You know, she has a job, she was a lawyer, she's in Congress. She's not someone who just sits there and reads the prayers on her BlackBerry like Sarah Palin. I mean, you know, we're splitting hairs here.
Could Sarah Palin become president? Is it possible in the current climate?
Absolutely. Yes. People who say this one is a joke or this one is a joke. I remember when I was 12 years old in 1968 and Ronald Reagan was first considering running for president. And I remember what a joke that was. Ronald Reagan? You mean the bedtime for bonzo guy? Well, I think he did become president. Yes, absolutely. Because if she could get the nomination, and anything can happen with, I mean, this Republican Party is not your father's Republican Party. Somewhere along the line, they got on a short bus to Crazy Town, and if someone gets the nomination of one of the two major parties, especially in a bad economy, with a black president, yeah, she could become president.
Is America more or less racist now since Obama's been in power?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think it's more sneakily racist. You know, I actually have more respect for the old school racists like Strom Thurmond and Jesse Helms, who are more upfront about it, as opposed to the, you know, the Rand Paul type guys who say things like, "I would have marched with Dr. King." Well, you don't get points for what you would have done in your imagination. You know, I would have helped Jesus escape, but I wasn't around.
Are there any of the Republican candidates so far that have emerged that you would see as potentially not life-threatening?
Well, you know, hopefully Mitt Romney, we depend on him to be a giant shapeshifter and liar, which he has always been. There's not an issue, you can go down the line. From when he was the Republican governor of liberal Massachusetts, there is not an issue he has not done a complete 180 on, from abortion to gun control to campaign finance, whatever it is. So I have to think that if he got into office, maybe he would be somewhat of a normal president. But you don't know, because he has to answer to that crazy party.
Has there ever been a president in your lifetime who has been properly principled in your eyes?
Jimmy Carter was an amazingly principled president. Did what he said, didn't fire a shot, did not fire a bullet, a missile while he was president. He said, as the world superpower, we have an obligation not to attack other countries unless we're attacked. Yeah, I mean, I think history has not been kind to Jimmy Carter, and that is the fault of history.
But is that part of the problem of being the guy at the White House, is that there's I was reading George Bush's book.
It attracts criticism?
Well, not that. It's that there's a kind of expectation from this mass populace that you have to do certain things. When I read about the aftermath to 9/11, for example, when I actually read George Bush's account, I was more understanding, not accepting, because I kind of share your view of what went on afterwards, but more understanding of why he, as a guy from Texas, felt compelled to do what he did. He felt he had to do something for his American people.
Well, yeah, he did have to do something. He didn't have to do what he did. What he should have done is right after 9/11, when everyone was in the mood to sacrifice, asked the country to sacrifice. He told everybody to go shopping. That was his response, and then attacked the wrong country, a country he wanted to attack from the get-go to, I guess, avenge his father or whatever the hell the reason was. But, yeah, he should have done something. He also should have learned about it. This is the man who said, it, you know, at the point where they were thinking of attacking the country, and they told him about Sunnis and Shiites, and he said, "I thought they was all Muslims." Really? We're attacking a country? You're the leader of our country who's attacking a Muslim country, and you don't know about the Shiite-Sunni thing over there? That's, to me, impeachable.
How do you think Obama's doing as president?
You know, I love him. You know, you can't not. I mean, coming in after Bush, first of all, you have him there. You have a guy you can relate to. He's intelligent. He can speak English. I don't think about George Bush at all anymore, which is great. He's like an uncle who molested me, and I blocked it out, you know. and you could just tell, you know, you'd like to have dinner with Obama. He's an erudite guy. He's a constitutional law professor.
I mean, he's a good front man, I think, for America, isn't he? Or around the world. He's a good figurehead for
that too.
The country.
He's just terribly disappointing as a negotiator and as a liberal. You know, it makes me laugh when they say he's a socialist. He's not even a liberal. He's a centrist at best. He's constantly voicing the Republican opinion. Paul Krugman had a column about this the other day. He said, why is Obama carrying water for the Republican Party? Why, if they're having this giant discussion about the debt and the deficit, why is Obama saying the stupid things that they say? We have to treat our government like a family does. Well, that's stupid. You don't treat, a family doesn't run up a deficit, whereas we know a certain deficit is good for a government. This silly canard about how we have to like be super kind to the rich because they're the job creators, which is BS also. And that sometimes you have to, even when you have a debt, spend more money so to get the economy going again.
But when you heard, I mean, I agree that on one level, the criticism that seems most accurate to me is that he can be diffident in decision-making, and that hasn't probably helped America get out of its economic strife. But then just when you think that he's diffident, he came out with that stunning strike with the Navy SEALs against bin Laden, which had it gone wrong.
But that's the low-hanging fruit.
Is it, though?
Absolutely. Doesn't cost anything. Everyone wanted to see it done.
But if it went wrong and a bunch of American SEALs got killed, that could have cost him the election.
No, he's got a pair on him, Obama.
I mean, that was audacious.
But, you know, the editorial we did recently that got the most reaction, I think, was when I said it would be a shame if 4 years of Democratic rule came to an end in 2012 without trying Democratic policies. And that's the problem I think all progressives have.
What should he be doing right now?
A Democrat gets in and we don't attempt Democratic policies.
What does that mean? I mean,
well, it means stop talking about the debt and the deficit. You know, when Dick Cheney was in office and they were running up all the debt, and by the way, you can look this up, there are facts outside of the Fox News bubble, actual facts and numbers. Most of the debt was run up under Bush. Dick Cheney said, quote, deficits don't matter. Why can't Obama say that? Why is it okay when Dick Cheney says it, but not when President Black Man says it? I'm not saying it's all race, but it seems a little weird that suddenly he gets into office and the debt and the deficit is intolerable. I mean, the Republicans have some nerve. Bush came into office, the debt was $5.6 trillion. He took a surplus and turned it into a $10 trillion debt, almost doubled it, with stuff they didn't pay for. They didn't pay for the wars, they didn't pay for the tax cuts for the rich, which should be called tax spending for the rich, because it is spending, the prescription drug program, all of that unpaid for. And then suddenly Obama comes into office and they act like he's Newt Gingrich's wife at Tiffany's. He didn't spend, his big spending, the stimulus, was mostly a Republican spending plan.
How would you describe your politics? I mean, are you a socialist? Are you a liberal? Are you both?
First of all, every modern government nowadays is a hybrid of socialism. I mean, the post office, the Marine Corps, these are the Veterans Administration.
But what tag are you proudest of putting yourself to?
I think I'm just practical. I think I'm just, you know, I don't think I'm an ideologue.
Well, your ideology is you hate Republicans. I mean,
I don't.
You do that. You hate their ideology, don't you?
Of course. That's different. I hate stupidity, and I hate stuff that doesn't work. What you call yourself, it's not because you're a Republican. I mean, the fact that they all fall in line. But
are you a Democrat?
There are Republicans who I respect. Mostly there are Republicans who are out of office, who are criticizing their own party. David Stockman, Bruce Bartlett, lots of these people who are saying, what has happened to the party that I knew? Where are these Republicans nowadays? Well, you can't...
I mean, you're a Democrat.
No.
So you're not a Democrat. No, How would you describe yourself?
I'm certainly more in line with their thinking, but, you know, they disappoint me so much. If I was a Democrat, I would be resigning every other week.
Do you vote?
Of course.
Democrat?
Almost always.
Ever voted Republican?
Yep.
Did you? When?
Absolutely. I voted for McCain in the 2000 primary. I voted for Bob Dole in '96. That was a sentimental vote because my parents were both in World War II, and that was the last World War II candidate I could vote for. I mean, if it was a close election, I would have voted for Clinton, but it was not.